मत कहो कि सर पे टोपी है, कहो सर पे.
Most welcome, both of you. So you can start your program.
Thank you, Dr. Sabawa. Hello, everyone. I believe I met some of you before when we were on tour or when I visited you before. And then some of you might already visited PMC, Pure Multicultural before. Thank you, Dr. Sabawa, for your kind introduction. If you've never been our place before, I'm just going to briefly take 1 minute to introduce our center. Pure Multicultural Council is a settlement agency founded by IRC, Refugee Citizenship of Canada. We provide all types of services, including senior services. So if you need any settlement services, feel free to contact us. I'm not going to introduce too much details because today we have limited time. And if you're interested, I'm going to put my contact information in the chat box. You can write it down and contact me later. So now I'm going to invite my colleague, Rahul. Rahul is the employee from Culture Link. This year, actually, this is the 3rd year, Culture Link and the Pure Multicultural Council partnered together, got funding from Regional Pure for a cycling program. We call it Misaga Cycles. So Rahul, you can take it over to introduce the program, and then he's the main person to introduce. He's the expert in cycling. He has a lot of knowledge on those, so he's going to introduce those. Rahul.
Great, thank you so much, Linda. It's great to meet everyone. Namaste, Sat Sri Akal. मेरा नाम राहुल है और मैं आज आप सबके साथ बात करूंगा बाइक सेफ्टी के बारे में. I will speak mostly in English, but if you have questions, you can ask me and I can do my best to respond in Hindi. अगर आपके कोई questions होंगे presentation के बाद, आप मुझसे हिंदी में भी बात कर सकते हो, ये भी ठीक है. So I'm going to talk about bike safety and some of the different skills and some of the different routes, some of the different pieces of equipment that you can use when you're riding your bike to really have an enjoyable experience and to really feel connected to your community. So I will have some presentation slides I will share, and I will also have some interactive components with things like my bike helmet over here. You are encouraged to speak with us, to share your ideas as we're presenting. This is not just me presenting to you, this is for us to learn together. There are many of you here, which is wonderful. So if I do miss your question, Linda, maybe you can help with this. Please type in the chat. So if we miss any question, we can make sure we come back to you. Because I can only see about 25 of you in the screen at one time. And when my presentation is running, I can't actually see the images. So Linda, you can help me with this. Okay, great. So let me just pull up my presentation. And as you know, we're going to talk about some bike safety pieces first. And from there, we are going to talk about the proper features and fit for your bike. So just give me one moment as I pull up the presentation. Okay. Go. Sorry, just having some trouble loading. Just one moment.
I brought my helmet here. When Rahul introduces you those, I can show you how I tie it up.
Thanks, Linda. Just give me one moment. It's just having some trouble loading. This sometimes happens. Oh, I see. I am not, I don't have the option to actually share my presentation.
Okay, I will.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Just for a moment.
No problem. It's good to see so many of you today. Show of hands, who here rides a bicycle? Who rides a bicycle so far? Okay, awesome. Or you can type in the chat as well if your picture isn't visible. Wonderful. I hope many more of you will be excited to ride after this presentation. Okay, thank you. I have the option now. So I will just pull this up. Go. Perfect. Okay. And Linda, if you have any issues seeing the slide, or if someone in the chat asks me to slow down or explain something, I can do that as well. I'm actually using a combination of presentations today. I wanted to make a custom one for this group. So we will first talk about some of the basics for the bike, as I talked about, and then we will go more into the planning your trip and moving safely in the city. So let's continue. As mentioned, my name is Rahul and I work at PO Multicultural Council as an employee with another organization called CultureLink. So this is the partnership between these organizations. Our project is Mississauga Cycles. Linda supports me at PMC. My employer at CultureLink supports me with this resources, and we are funded by the region of Peel. So this presentation component comes to us from an organization called Cycle Toronto. And so they have been doing education with newcomers in the community for many years, and we're very excited to be able to share these resources now in Mississauga. These are some of our staff at PMC that were enjoying bike riding as well. So my first actually thing is a question for you. Please type into the chat, what is your favorite thing about riding a bike? And if you don't ride a bike, what might you look forward to? What might be something that makes you excited or happy to ride a bicycle? Let's type into the chat some ideas. For me, I like the feeling, the energy. The paths are very green and nice. And I get to bike with my friends sometimes, so that's also very relaxing. How about everyone else?
Hi, everyone. If you see the bottom, there is a square chat, and you can click the chat box and you can start typing.
So I'll look forward to your responses. I'll continue, and we can go through this towards a later slide. So some of the reasons that I think we hear from the public: you want to stay healthy, you want to have fun, it's good for the environment, and you get to explore new areas in your neighborhood. Often when you're biking, it's not on the same path as when you're driving or taking the bus. So this is a chance to explore a new area in your community and connect with people who are there. So cycling is very good for your health. We of course encourage everyone, especially newcomers, to try cycling, because especially now, many of us are at home. I myself, I'm working at home. Linda is working at home. And bikes are a way where we can stay active and stay outside when we're not working, and really burn some of those calories from the time we are spending indoors. It's convenient. It can actually be faster sometimes than taking the car or the bus. So we want to encourage cycling when people feel safe to do small trips. So going to the park, of course, going to the grocery store, they have bike parking at the grocery store. And maybe if you want to visit a friend or family in your neighborhood, you could try this by bicycle. It can often be very quick. And it can save money. For many of our newcomers and for many people today, affordability, the cost of living is a big challenge. So we want to encourage cycling as something that can save you money, being cheaper than driving and using a bus pass. And finally, it's great for the environment. Cycling is green, it takes you into the nature and trails, and it's something that really reduces your impact because you are not producing any pollution from a vehicle. And of course, as I'll be showing you, we'll take a look at the City of Mississauga cycling map. This is a chance to explore many different places in your neighborhood and to discover trails and parks that, again, you may not have seen before, and you may have just missed. You know, if you were driving, you may have not seen the park from your car or from your bus. So this is a chance for us to explore some of these trails together. And when we have a chance to meet in person, we will be able to give you these maps as well. And it's fun. We did talk about this, so it's a lot of fun to bike with people you know and care about, and that's great to do in your local neighborhood for these appointments and errands. So let's talk a little bit about the different pieces of equipment. So some of you are riding a bicycle, and some of you might be interested soon. So what are some things that you want to have when you're riding your bicycle? These are pieces of equipment we can share with you. So our funding from the region of Peel means if we meet for a bike ride, if we do a workshop in person, we have this equipment to share with you so that you feel safe on your bike. First up, your bike belt. So this is really useful. Let me make sure the sound, a little bit loud, but the bicycle is important because other people can hear you if they don't see you. So in this case, you want to use the bell when you are on a trail, if there are people walking near you, and in places where maybe it is hard to see, in the forested trails, maybe you're turning a corner, or maybe it's just darker at night and you want to use your bell so people can hear you. So this is very important and required. You also want to be seen. So if you cannot hear somebody, maybe it is darker at night, a bicycle light is very important. So we have two bicycle lights here. You can see this white one, I'll turn it on. It has 3 settings. And this bicycle light is on the front of your bike. If you see a car or a bus, it has a white light on the front, and on the back of our bike, we put this red light. Also has 3 settings, and so the red light will go on the back of the bicycle. So just like a car, especially when it's dark at night, you are really visible and it is easier to see you. It's for your safety. So these lights are so other people can see you. They're not bright enough so that you could light the entire path, but this is for other people to see you so that they can give you a safe space to ride your bike. We do provide these. They're funded by the region of Peel. And what we recommend is you start with these lights and then you get a bigger, brighter light if you do start biking in the evening or at night. The brighter, as we say, the brighter the light, the better, because then you're more visible. What I like to do as well is when I'm riding my bike, I have tape. It's called reflective tape. And I can show you here. You see this tape here? If I shine the light on it, you can see it becomes very bright. So this tape I can purchase at Dollarama, Canadian Tire, very inexpensive, and it makes my helmet or my bike more safe because it's brighter, it's more visible. Now let's talk about helmet. Linda, you can join me with this. So we are going to quickly practice how to wear a helmet correctly. This is very important, of course. A helmet is to keep the most important part of your body perhaps protected. This is your head, of course, your brain. And it is required if you're under 18 years old. But we recommend everybody wear a bike helmet because there's just a lot of traffic and there's a lot of risk when you are biking without your helmet. So this is my helmet. I actually have lights on the top as well. So I have an extra set of lights, red and white, which just makes me feel a bit more safe. And let's put our helmet on, Linda. Okay, so there are 3 steps when you are putting on your helmet. And Linda, we'll check. We'll make sure that we're both doing it correctly. The 3 steps, these are, you do them one time and they become very easy to remember. It's called the 2V1 rule. So we're going to go through each step, and this can make sure that your helmet is on correctly and it's not loose. right? So it is nice and tight, it fits your head, and it feels comfortable. So for me and Linda, of course, the first thing is you put on your helmet correctly, right? So this is the front of the helmet. It is lower, it is shorter than the backside, which goes further down your head. And you have it nice and even, right? So it is nice and even. It's not too forward, it's not too far back. So step 1, 2, we use 2 fingers and we're measuring from our eyebrow to the bottom of the helmet. So we should be able to fit 2 fingers. In some cases, 1 is okay as well, but 1 or 2 fingers. And this makes sure that our helmet isn't like this. It also makes sure our helmet isn't like this, right? So we want to have it nice and even on our head. So that's the first step. The second step is the V. It's like the peace sign. And if you can guess, as it says, the V is referring to the strap on the side of your helmet. So the V is the strap, and you're just making sure that it is even, and the clip is just below your ear. So it's really good the first time you put on your helmet, use a mirror, or do this with a friend or a partner, someone who can check and tell you, oh, you know, this side is longer than this side. It should be the same, right? So this side, I would use a mirror. Linda, you can tell me, should be the same as this side, and it should not cover my ear. It should be on either side of the ear. So you can already tell mine is adjusted, right? If I need to adjust, I would open the clip and I would push or pull the strap. So that's step 2. That's the V. We make sure that it's even and it is not on top of our ear, just below the ear. And then the third step is 1. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip the helmet. Let me do that better. It should make a nice clicking sound. There we go. And I want to make sure that it is tight, but not too tight, because we should still be able to talk, right? So it is under my chin, and I can fit 1 finger in the strap. So that is the 1 rule. So we have 2, V, 1. And those are the 3 main steps when you're putting on your helmet. If this was loose, I remove it and I can adjust the clip at the bottom, and then I will close again. And I'll just check, can I fit 1 finger? If I can fit 2, that's okay, but you shouldn't be able to fit more than 2 fingers. 1 is preferred because you want it to be nice and tight so that your helmet doesn't move. Now, Linda, I want you to shake your head. Does the helmet move?
Mine is perfectly.
My helmet moves a little bit, so there's actually 1 more step left. Linda, can you show them the back of your helmet?
Are you able to see?
So if you see the back of Linda's helmet and on mine, you'll notice that there is a small little dial. Take this off. See this? So this dial, this is a new feature on most helmets. And what it does is it tightens the helmet from the back. So if I turn it, you see how it gets tighter? I can also loosen it counterclockwise. So after you do the 3 steps, you have 1 more step left. So you're going to put on the helmet. You're going to make sure it's even. 2, V, and 1. And then I'm going to use the tightening dial. I will use the dial in the back of the helmet to keep it really nice and tight. And that tightens the helmet from the back. So now my helmet, it doesn't move. It's nice and tight and it's comfortable. This is important because, of course, you want to enjoy your bike ride. You don't want this to be something, it shouldn't be painful, right? It should be comfortable. So I've done the steps, and once I have adjusted, I don't need to adjust anymore, right? 1-time adjustment. So now when I'm done, I open the dial, I remove the clip, and that's it. The adjustment is complete. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat about this type of helmet. Let's continue. Okay, so now we're going to talk about one of the main tests for your bike. We're actually just going to focus on one. And so this main test, this is if you're riding your bicycle. It's also 3 steps. It's very simple. And this is to make sure that your bicycle is safe to ride before you go on all of those wonderful trails. This is called the ABC check. And you can tell they made these rules very simple because they want, we want more people to ride a bicycle. So good to remember, right? You have the 2V1 rule for your helmet, and you have the ABC check for your bicycle. Let's go through these steps. So it's very simple. The first step is A for air. When we have our bicycle, we want to make sure that, let me just pull this up. We want to make sure that the tires, which are, I'm pointing at the right ones, there you go. The tires are properly aligned. They spin in a circle, even, right? And that they have proper tire pressure. So you check the tire pressure, you want to squeeze with the palm of your hand. When we meet in person, I hope we will meet soon for a bike ride. I will show you in person how this is done and it will make more sense. But we want to squeeze the wheel really hard. We want to really push, and we want to make sure that it is firm, that it is a solid tire. We also want to spin the wheel. So we want to check, does the wheel move evenly, right? It should move in a circle. It shouldn't wobble. If you can squeeze the tire, your tire with a bike pump. And you can see in the picture here, they have a bike pump. We can talk about the specific, the tire pressure. It's a label on the tire itself. And when we meet in person, I can demonstrate this for you. So checking the tire pressure is very important before you ride your bicycle because you do not want to have a flat tire, right? Just like when you're in a car, you never want to have a flat tire. So we check the tire pressure and we pump the tire before we go on our bike ride. Step A. Step B is actually 2 steps. So for step B, we are checking the brakes and we are checking the handlebars. So it's again, we want to make sure basically, does the main part of the bike, does it work and does it work properly? Here we have, you can see the handlebars. They're here. And the brakes. No, let me get this right. Right, the brakes are on either side of the handlebars. So when we are checking our bicycle, we know that we have 2 brakes. We have the right brake and we have the left brake. It's very important that our brakes are properly working. So we want to actually push the bike forward and use the right brake. So we're standing beside the bike. You will push the bike forward and you will use the right brake. Does the bike properly stop? If you use the right brake, that is the rear wheel. So if I use the right brake, this wheel should stop. If I use the left brake, this wheel should stop. So the right brake is for the back tire. The left brake is for the front tire. Before you ride your bicycle, walk beside your bike and use each brake. Make sure, does the bike properly stop? And if it doesn't, then your brake might be loose, right? If your brake is loose, is it safe to ride your bike? No, it's not. So we want to make sure that our brakes are properly working. I will add, maybe you can also answer in the chat. Which brake is your main brake? The brake you should be using when you're riding your bike most of the time. Is it the front tire, so your left brake, or is it the right brake for your rear tire? Which brake is your main brake? Think about if you're going up or downhill, right? Which is the safe brake that you should be using when you are riding your bike? So I will ask you this, please answer in the chat, and I will tell you the answer at the end of the presentation. The second thing we check for brakes is the handlebar itself. So this is kind of difficult to explain on Zoom, but you're making sure that the handlebar, basically it moves with the wheel, right? The handlebar will move the front wheel. So if you're turning left, the front wheel should turn to the left. If you're turning right, the front wheel should turn to the right. So we want to make sure that it is moving together evenly. And I will show you this in person when we get to do a bike ride. Let's continue. The third step of the ABC check is also two parts. It is the chain and the crank. So here in the picture, you see there is a rear tire and the bike chain. The bike chain is connected to the pedals, and with that, you move your bike, right? So when you are riding, you're pushing the pedal spins the gear, and that spins the chain, which spins the back tire. So if your chain is damaged, if your chain is rusted, that can be very dangerous. You want to make sure that your chain is clean, in good condition, and that it moves properly. So we are just taking a look. We are just looking, is the chain tight and well lubricated? So is it silver? Is it gray? Those are good colors. Is it black? Is it orange? Is it red? That's a sign of dirt, grease, and rust. So we want to make sure our chain is properly cleaned. The easiest thing, use a dry cloth. Wipe off any of the dirt, any of the old grease. You could use some water, but you need to wipe it immediately. So don't let any water stay on your chain. Ideally, you will use something called a bike chain lubricant. So this is basically a special bike oil to keep your chain moving smoothly. If you don't know what this is, if you go to a bike store, Canadian Tire, Walmart, they can show you, ask them, I need some bike chain lubricant, and they will show you what this is. You only need a few drops, and this will keep your chain clean. It'll keep it rust-free, and it'll keep it lasting for a long time. For the second and final component, this is the crank. And the crank is, I'll show you again on this picture. Oh, there we go. If you can see the crank, it is connected to the pedals and the gears. So the crank arm, it should be nice and stable. It should not move from side to side. You will check, is the crank arm stable and not wobbly? So it is not shaking. If you try to shake the arm, it should not move, right? The arm should move in a circle. It should not shake. If it shakes, that means it could have broken or damage inside the crank. And that would require a special bike repair. So you want to check this every time, and you can do the ABC check in 1 to 2 minutes. Every time I ride my bicycle, I'll do the ABC check because sometimes my brake was loose. I had to pump my tires, or I had to add some bike chain lubricant to my chain. So it's good to find these things before they become a big problem, right? Because we don't want to get into any problems when we are riding our bike. Okay. So I'm now going to move to the second component of my presentation. If anyone has any questions so far, please feel free to type in the chat.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Because when I go a very narrow trail where people, go walking both ways, and the cyclists, they don't have a bell. They come weaving in and weaving out.
Yes.
And sometimes it feels very dangerous.
Yes.
Is there a government regulation that you have to have a bell on your bicycle?
This is a very good question. And let me actually just check. I think I have this in our second part for this presentation. The answer is yes. Yes. So there is a law requiring all bicycles should have a bicycle bell, and they should have the red and white light. So the white light is on the front of the bicycle and the red is on the back. The bell is required, and many people don't know this because they don't sell it with the bicycle. So many people think if I have the bicycle, I buy from the store, I am okay. But that is not true. Every bike should have a bicycle bell. If you're a small child, it's okay, right? But if you are a teenager and adult, you should have this on your bike because it makes you well heard. The other important rule is sidewalks. If you are a child and you have a smaller child bike, you are allowed to bike on the sidewalk. If you are an adult or a teenager, the rules say you are not allowed to ride on the sidewalk. However, sometimes you need to ride on the sidewalk because it is not safe on the road, right? So the key is, if you do use the sidewalk, you must please ride slowly, walk your bike, or use your bell, and be very kind to people who are walking, right? Because the sidewalk is for people who are walking. And so if you need to bike on the sidewalk, please make sure that you respect the people who are walking. And that's very important because, you know, it is a time of change and growth. There are more bike trails in Mississauga, but there are not enough bike trails, right? Many places there is only sidewalk and road. So I understand when sometimes people feel I must use the sidewalk. Just please be careful because you are sharing the sidewalk with other people as well. So let me now pull up the second part of the presentation. Thank you for that wonderful question. Very important. Here we go. Oh. Linda, can you see this okay? Let me know if you can see this all right.
Yes.
Thank you. So I wanted to now do more detail on what you should, how you should be moving in your city safely. And we'll go through this first part a little quickly. It's just a review, but this is to understand how should I be biking in my local street, my local road. So here we have a visual. This is showing you a example intersection. We all know what these are, right? They're all in a part of our life. We are driving, walking, using the bus, and we are biking. So now let's talk about where does the bicycle go on this type of example. So we just want to make sure everyone knows the different features when they are on the road or the sidewalk. So if you're walking, we talked about this. You are called a pedestrian, and you should be on the sidewalk or on the crosswalk when you are crossing the street, right? So that is the space designed for you if you are walking. Now, if you are biking, you are called a cyclist. And depending on the road, you might have a few options. So here we have something called a bike lane, but sometimes you might not have that option. You may have to bike on the road or on the sidewalk. For cars and drivers, of course, most of the road is for the car. And that is the car lane. Now, this is new for Mississauga, right? Mississauga and Brampton will soon have what is called a LRT, Light Rail Transit. This will be on Hurontario or Highway 10, as some know. This is important because there are new considerations of how you bike safely if you are near the train. So the streetcar or the light rail transit, that runs in the middle of the road. And that is meant only for that vehicle. So why is this important? If you're riding a bike, why does it matter? Well, the streetcar runs on these metal rails, just like a train. And if you're riding your bicycle, you can actually get stuck on the rail. So you want to make sure you cross the rail safely, right? So you can walk your bicycle. You can also make sure you're crossing at a right angle, right? So you're making sure you cross straight across the track so that your bike doesn't fall or get caught in the track. Of course, we know the sidewalk. The sidewalk is designed for people walking with a stroller, with their pets. It is not designed for riding a bicycle, but sometimes you may have to ride your bike there slowly and carefully. Now, the crosswalk is also meant only for walking. So if you are biking on the sidewalk, you should always walk your bike across the crosswalk, or if you have to, you can bike very slowly. Sometimes in Mississauga and Brampton, you will see something new. It's called a cross ride. This is a special marking where you can bike across the street only for bikes. You will see it has green paint and it has a special signal. These are now being built in Mississauga and Brampton. Now the curb, if we're driving or walking, we don't think about this very often, but it's very important. If you are biking and you have maybe more confidence, you have more comfort, you can bike on the road. The curb is very important because you should be biking 1 meter. So 1 meter from the curb on the road. This is so that you have enough space when you are riding your bike. Finally, we have the lane. So here we have a car lane, we have a bike lane, and we have a parking lane. So there are different lanes for different types of movement, for different types of people. So if you are riding your car, you should not be in the bike lane. So you see that in this picture, that car is in the wrong place, right? You should be only passing through, but you should not be stopping in the bike lane. Similarly, if you're in the parking, your bike should not be in the parking lane, right? So for each lane, you have a different purpose. And then finally, the intersection. This is very important because the intersection is the most dangerous place for anyone, for the car, for the bike, for the pedestrian. So when you are crossing an intersection, please be extra careful because this is where the collisions happen. So this is why you have to be extra careful. You need to watch for cars. You want to give space to people walking. And you want to make sure you use your bell if someone does not see you. So let's talk more about safety. So as a pedestrian, you want to be ensuring that you are given priority on the sidewalk because you are the most vulnerable user. So this is important to think about if you are biking on the sidewalk, making sure you give space to pedestrian, especially in the intersections. When you're crossing, you want to make sure you watch for cars. There's a bit more information here, but we will go over that another time. But the basic information here is you always want to make sure that you see the car and you only cross when the vehicle is fully stopped. So you should not go if you are not allowed to cross, right? So you want to look at the signal, you want to look at the car, and then you want to cross with walking or your bicycle slowly. And being patient, taking your time. I know many people who are biking, they want to go very quickly when they're crossing, but this is the one place we should always try to go a little bit more slowly. And this is especially true if you have small kids, right? Because the small children, they can be walking on the sidewalk. They can also be biking on the sidewalk. So if you're a small child, you're allowed to bike on the sidewalk anytime. So especially for children, you always want to tell them to make sure they give space and they go slowly on the sidewalk. And if you are an adult, you need to give them extra space so that the child can cross the street and so that the car has enough space between the bus, the child, and maybe the child on a bicycle. Okay, I want to quickly mention transit because many people don't know this. It's very exciting. You can put your bicycle on the bus. I want you to tell me, have you ever had your bicycle on the bus? Let me know in the chat by saying, yes, I have. So we have many transit options here in Mississauga. You can connect to any of these different types of transit. And then Mississauga is the My Way transit. That is in the top left corner. So there are many different bus routes. There are many different hours of operation. And all of this is on their website, myway.ca. Now, why I bring this up is because sometimes you want to go to a farther distance. Maybe you want to bike in a park that is very far from your home. You can use your Presto card and you can put your bicycle on the bus to get somewhere that is a farther distance, especially if you don't have a car yourself. All you have to do is pay the bus fare, and that's the same price. It doesn't matter whether you have a bicycle or you don't. You would pay the bus fare, you would tap $3, and on the Go bus, you would tap one more time when you leave the bus, paying a little bit more. And so this $3 price could give you access to any park in the city, even in Brampton, many parts of Toronto and Oakville as well. And you can put your bicycle on the bus. So you can see in this picture that we have our friend who is putting the bike on this. It is called a bike rack on the front of the bus. And what I will do actually, maybe this is for Ramesh and Linda, I will share the presentation after we are finished. So you can click the link we will put in the presentation for a short video. And this will actually show you how you can load your bicycle onto the bus. Again, this is for free. There is no cost. You would pay the normal bus fare and you can add your bicycle, up to 2 bicycles on the front of the bus. And if there is space inside the bus, you can also add up to 2 bicycles inside the bus. Sometimes you might see this when you are, you see a bus passing by, you might see a bicycle there and you might wonder, I wonder if I can do that. So you have this opportunity as well. For myself, sometimes I'm feeling tired, so I will put my bicycle on the bus, I will go to work, and then I will ride my bicycle home. And so it's a convenience, right? There's no extra cost to save you some time. And this will be the link to the video. So we have 2 parts left. We are going to talk about the different trails and the different rules when you are cycling in Mississauga, but also in Peel region, because they are the same rules in all of Peel region. So this is for our earlier question. Can I ride on the sidewalk? Do I need to have a bicycle bell? All of the rules for cycling, they are the same guide as for driving. It is called the Highway Traffic Act. So you follow the same guidebook, and there are rules for biking, and there are rules for cars and rules for trucks. And this is all one big manual you can find online, and I will add the link to the presentation as well. You can see we talked about this already, right? You don't have to wear a helmet if you are over 18 years old, but you do if you are under 18. We recommend that you always wear a helmet and keep yourself safe. You might say, well, Rahul, how do I know what the rules are? Where am I going to read these rules? How will I remember these rules? We have a guide. And so this is what I was showing you earlier. This is called the Peel Region Cyclist Handbook. And so this is a short guide. You saw the bike already. And this talks about many things we covered in the presentation today. This will tell you about the rules. It'll tell you about how to bike safely. It will also tell you how much are the fines. Here we go. If you are not following the rules. So this is a great guide. It's only 15 pages long, very small, and we have copies of this guide at Peel Multicultural Council. So if you wish to have a copy, we can arrange this for you. Linda can arrange this for you. And if we have a bike ride together, we can also bring these for you as well. And then this is a reminder, as we said, children's bikes are allowed on the sidewalk. They're legally allowed on the sidewalk. And adult bikes are technically not allowed. But if you have to ride on the sidewalk, please walk your bike or ride very slowly. And these are those suggestions you can see. So if you had to use the sidewalk because maybe the road is very fast, maybe it does not feel safe, maybe there's no trail, maybe there's no bike lane, you can go on the sidewalk, but just make sure that you are giving space to the main user, which is people walking, which is called a pedestrian. And this is more relevant for Toronto, so I will go past this slide here. It's also very important. Many people don't follow these signs when they are riding the bike. The same sign for the car is the same sign for the bicycle. So when you see these signs, you need to follow what they mean. We, of course, have the stop sign. So you must stop and then go. You have the crossing for pedestrians. So making sure you wait and let others cross the street. There are some places where bicycles are not allowed, right? So you cannot ride on the highway. You cannot ride on a train track. So you will see this sign saying that no bikes are allowed on this road. And there are signs for one way. Less common in Mississauga, less common in Peel region, but you should go in only one direction. And again, we will have copies of this handbook. It covers all of the main points that we are talking about in today's presentation. There's also a guide if you have small kids, which is called the Family Edition. So this one is a little bit simpler. It also has more information for the children, how they can bike safely. And we have both copies at Peel Multicultural Council. Now let's finish by talking about the different types of bicycle trails. This is my favorite part. So this is why we have it at the end of the presentation. Choosing the best route for riding your bicycle. I would love to hear from some of you. Just type into the chat. What is your favorite park? What is your favorite trail in Mississauga or Brampton? For any type of fun, exercise, enjoyment. Let me know. Type into the chat. What is your favorite park or trail? So we have this map here. This is the city of Mississauga, 2021 cycling map. So in this map, it will show you all of these different types of trails on how you can move walking or biking or running safely in different parts of the city. So let's look at the different options you have. This is the best option, which is the first option. It is called multi-purpose trails. So these are your wide, they are the asphalt trail. They go through many parks. There are also trails next to the road. So Burnhamthorpe, Britannia, Winston Churchill, Thomas Street, Dairy Road. These all have the multi-purpose trail. And these are really wonderful because if you are walking or biking, you can always use these trails. What is another place? So many might be surprised to see this. Biking on the road can be actually very safe and fun if you are in your local street. So not the major street with the traffic lights, but a local street which has very little traffic. Maybe it has a stop sign. And this is a chance for you to just practice riding your bicycle. So exploring your local neighborhood street when it is less busy, it can be a really fun way to practice, to go to your local parks, the local school, and to get some exercise. So this is something that you can also enjoy when you are starting to improve your skills riding on different types of pavement. And we talked about the multi-use trails, and now you also have the parks themselves, right? So many parks have different types of trails, different activities, especially for the kids. And this is a wonderful place to ride your bike. It's important to remember in these parks, you are also sharing the trail, right? So you are sharing with people who are walking, with their pets, the stroller, small children. So you want to make sure that there is enough space and use your lights and use your bell. Some of you might feel comfortable riding on the road. And so if you're riding on the road, you have a few options in some parts of the city. The first is sharrows, which is, it's basically a bike symbol on the road. And the bike symbol is telling the car that you must share the road. So you must give space to people who are biking. Now, this is true for most of the roads, not the highways, but the paint gives you a bit of an extra communication with the driver. So this is the beginning of some of the road cycling lanes. Now this is a little bit better. These are the bike lanes, and you can find these on the city's cycling map. So let me show you an example here. So you can see here on the city's cycling map, it labels the different types of multi-use trails, park trails, and bicycle lanes, as well as these are called sharrows right here, the signed bicycle route. And I'll also show you here. They also show you the different types of paths and trails, local transit, local parks, bike shops, and much more on the cycling map. So when you receive a copy of the cycling map, this will be a lot easier when you're asking yourself, where can I ride my bicycle? Where is the local multi-use trail? Where is the local bike lane? And what is the best way to get to where I want to go? So the bike lane is on the road, and it is a space just for cycling. But I know for many, you might not feel comfortable because it is still just a bike lane. It is just paint. So it is an improvement, but it is not yet the full bike, protected bike lane. And that is the next and best option. So the protected bike lane, this is something that is brand new in Mississauga. Currently, we have one protected bike lane. And if you know where City Hall is, it is beside City Hall on a road called Living Arts Drive. So Mississauga has built its first protected bike lane just last month. And if you are someone who bikes, I encourage you to visit. It is beside City Hall on Living Arts Drive. So this is an exciting time for Mississauga. More people are riding their bicycle, and there is more and better protected bike lanes where you can feel safe riding your bike. And as I said, here's a picture of the Mississauga cycling map. I look forward to sharing this with you so you can discover all of the trails, all of the bike lanes in Mississauga, and you can meet new people, practice new skills, and hopefully we can practice new skills together. So that is our presentation for today. I really want to thank you for your time. I want to encourage you to ride a bike, bring it out of the shed for the first time, out of your garage. If you're looking for a bike, reach out to us and we can share some resources with you. And I will be sure with Linda to pass on the PDF version of this presentation with all of the links that we shared today. So I want to thank you so much.
Rahul, Rahul, can I
Yes.
ask you a question?
Sure.
Is there a program where, I mean, I'm a senior, I'm 74 years old. I did ride bike, oh my God, almost 40 years back, you know. But
Yes.
many times I wish I could go on a bike or do something and just feel the air brushing against my face and all that, you know.
Yes.
Now, is there a program for seniors where we can relearn ourselves in a safe way to go back on the bike?
That is a great question. Can I say, pronounce your name correctly? Is it Ratna?
Yeah, Ratnamani Taylor. Yeah, Ratna Taylor. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ratna. So it's a difficult question because the answer is not yet. We have had many people ask us, the Mississauga Cycles Project, to start a bicycle teaching or training program. We don't have one right now, but I'm really hoping that next year in the spring, we can start such a program. And Linda, maybe you can add to this. We do have, of course, now the senior workshops and the seniors bike rides we have started last year with Linda. We hope to expand that to exactly what you're saying, Ratna, but we don't have it just yet. I think if we have enough people who tell us they are interested, then we can start next year.
Yeah, and there is there like a seniors tricycle instead of a bike that we can use on the safe cycle trails and that?
Are you looking to purchase a bike?
I may look to purchase a bike, but that too, I think I will need some guidance because I stay in the condo and the space is limited.
Right.
So, you know, and parking in the garage, there is space available, but over the last month or two, a few people have their bikes got stolen.
Oh, that's very sad. I would say, so yes, there are tricycles bigger, but then the other option is a folding bicycle, which is much smaller that you could bring into your home.
Right.
And we can help you with that.
Okay, so I have your email and I can always get in touch with you by email, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks a lot again.
Thank you so much. That's a great question. And I know Linda will agree with me. We very much want to offer more programming to seniors and to newcomer adults who wish to learn about cycling and cycling safely. So please do reach out to us. Let us know with your feedback.
Thank you so much, Rahul. And thank you, Erwin. Thank you, Ratna, for bringing up this question. We will definitely put on our next plan and we'll submit the plan to the regional PO. And as part of your question, I believe if you learned even 40 years ago, it's easier for you to pick it up if you try a few times. So I can work with Dr. Sabavo, try to organize a group biking session. If anybody who owns a bike, or if you can borrow a bike, and we can go some close by near neighborhood, and we can ride together. And Rahul, definitely he can come. He's the expert of cycling, so he can tell us some skills or the important issues that he mentioned already in this presentation. But when meeting in person, if he showed you, that will be very nice. So it's easier for you to learn it, right? So definitely, Dr. Sabavo, I will contact you later. We'll discuss. Is that okay?
Yes, Linda, thank you very much. And nowadays, seniors, they become bulky, and then it is very difficult for them to maintain their balance. And they must be very cautious while driving the bike. They should not fall at all, and they should take care of balancing the bike. And Ratna has very rightly pointed out that if there is a tricycle, where we can have balancing with the bike, that will be much better to drive. So thank you very much. It was a wonderful presentation, and I got a number of things new about. I never knew about the cycling, and in future also we shall be having some more presentations, and we shall have some practical demonstration where we can drive the bicycle. That will be much better.
That's great. And Dr. Sabavo, I can drop you off some handbooks or cycling maps or some even some bike lights or something to your house, we can discuss
yes,
those
definitely.
later.
We'll be meeting next week. We are having a picnic, and I can distribute that material.